Alright, so today I'm going to be showing you how to trap muskrats in the winter. And a lot of people don't, for a couple of reasons. Obviously everything's froze up, it's not as easy. And some places you can't do some of the things that you need to do while winter muskrat trapping. But winter muskrat trapping is one of the best times to muskrat trap, simply because the fur is as prime as it's going to get. So I want to get out here and get them as many as I can. So, winter muskrat trapping mainly happens on the lakes. You're not going to do it in a whole lot of streams or anything. Mostly lakes, marshes, and ponds. So I'm here on a lake, and for winter muskrat trapping, you got to find their houses like this, their dens, and some of their feeding huts. And so what I've done here, I found the feeding hut. I'm out in the reeds. You got to look. There's not a whole lot of snow right now. It's a beautiful day out, actually. It's about a couple 34 degrees or something. It's actually above freezing, so pretty nice day. But find their muskrat house, okay? So you gotta, to get to the muskrats, you gotta cut a hole in here, and I like to use a spade shovel like this, a good tile shovel. Some people use an axe. That's your opinion. I don't like using an axe. I think it puts a bigger hole in there than I want. And then you gotta figure out where the muskrats are traveling up into their den here. So I know they're coming right where the camera's at. There's a trail coming in here, and then it's kind of not as steep right here. That's where they're going up in here. So I'm gonna throw my gloves on here. I like to wear some nice rubber gloves while doing this as well. You'll see why in a little bit. So we'll get in here, and I'm just gonna peel back a little bit of this here. I'm gonna put a hole right in here if it ain't frozen. There we go. So they can be pretty frozen, but you can get through them. That's why some people like using the axe. I just find it a lot easier, or not a lot easier, but a lot nicer to use this shovel. Okay, now we made this plug. Pull that plug out. Save that plug. We're going to use that later. And get in this hole. Clean it out. You gotta clean it down all the way to the water. And make sure when you're doing this, you're not using an old hut. If they're frozen, if the water is not open inside, don't set a trap there. It's gonna be frozen ice, and that means there's no muskrats traveling in there. And so now I've got in here. I'm down to the water. I'm just cleaning out anything that I might have pushed in there. Okay. Now reach in here, feel where they're coming up. They're going to have either one or two, sometimes three paths coming up into here. And there's going to be a floating pile of food, or, you know, mostly stuff like this. I'll just pull some out here quick. Just kind of shredded stuff like this. That means that's what they're eating in here. Okay. So I got their entrance cleaned out here. And now I'm going to take my trap and set it right where they come up out of the water. Right where they land, up on the pile floating in there. That's where I'm going to set my trap. So what I got here is a 1.5. That's my preferred trap for this. I like to use 1.5s for a lot of my muskrat and mink trapping. So I'll get it set here. Now you want a good length of chain on here. That way when they get caught, they can swim down and drown. You don't want them alive in here. That's a pain in the behind. So now I know where they're coming out of the water. I'm gonna get this set in here. Just slide it right down the hole and prop it up on that chunk of floating muck in there. You're gonna have to do a lot of feeling with your hand, and try not to get your hand caught. That's number one thing. Okay. Now I got wooden stakes on the end of mine. You can use your normal metal trapping stakes. These I just had on here already, so that's what I'm using. And I just find a good firm spot for it and stake it in. So I just stuck it in here, pounded it in. There's muskrat's not going to be able to pull it out. Make sure you get all the chain down there. Now you gotta close this hole up so it doesn't freeze. So what I like to do is start off, you grab some of this bigger stuff and fold it over and put it right in front of the hole like this. Okay, that way none of your little stuff falls in there. Now I'm going to grab my plug that I pulled out, shove that right on top, and then all this loose stuff that you pulled out, that works great for sealing up the door. So we're going to push it all around here, and then you got to get the seal up as much as you can because you don't want to freeze in there. If it freezes, it's shot. So take snow, if you got snow, which is nice for this, you got to pack this door shut. So get it all covered up here, and that's it. So that's how you do that set. It's very simple. It just takes a little more time. Obviously in the winter everything's frozen. And make sure when you go walking up to these houses, the ice out on the middle of the lake might be real thick and frozen, but the ice in the center here or around these huts can be thin from activity. So you gotta be careful when you walk up to these huts that you don't fall through, because it's happened to me. It actually happened to me right over there, and that wasn't too fun. Alright, now, last but not least, I can take some orange flagging and my marker, and this is personal preference. If you're trapping on public land or something like that, or trapping where there's other people, you might not want to do this. You might want to find a different way to mark your traps, but I'm trapping on a little lake by me where I know there's no other trappers. So I take this and I'll just tie it right up here. And so I numbered it at the same time. I put a number on it, that way I know I put a number 4 on here. This is the 4th trap I have set today, and I'll number every single one. So that way when I'm going down the row, I know I don't miss one. And also, when you set your trap, make sure you remember what side of the mound you set it on. If you sometimes you get snow overnight or something, and this will all be blended in. You won't know if you set your trap here, there, or where it's at. So just little things like that. Make sure you remember stuff like that. Write it down if you have to. I keep a book of all my traps, where I set them, how many I set, what day I set them, stuff like that. So yeah, that's how it begins. So I want to show you guys one more thing here. Here's a muskrat mound. Kind of hard to see, but it's from the top here to the ice is about 3 feet. And anything that size or bigger, I'm not going to spend any time trying to chop in there or anything. It's going to be hard to find. It's going to be hard to find their tunnels in that one, and it's they're going to be really close to the center, so you're going to have real thick walls. Let me tell you something. I've chopped in them before. It ain't worth your time. It's going to be hard to find where they're coming up. It's going to be hard to get a trap in and out of there. Don't waste your time. Alright, so I'm here at another muskrat set. I've got the hole cut in here already. I'm just going to show you. This is another style of trap I use. This is a stop-loss trap. It's a real old Victor. I don't know if they even make them anymore. I think Duke might yet, but these are stop-loss, which means it's got this extra spring in here. And sometimes when I'm not sure if, these pans are pretty small on here, and if I'm not sure that the animal is going to step right on it, I sometimes use a little bit of lure to go to this pan here. So all I do is take a little stick. I just take a real small amount of this. Doesn't take much at all. This is very strong lure. It's a muskrat lure, but it works great for coons too. All my pocket sets when I do them in ditch banks and rivers and stuff, and I use this. This is the only kind of lure I use. So I just smear a little bit on the pan, and man, I love this lure. And so then I'll show you how to set these. All you gotta do is you take this spring, push it over, and then set the trap. Very simple. Just like that. So you can see the pan's pretty small on here, which is why I like to use that lure. And this is Marseda's 300 muskrat food and call lure. It's a fantastic lure. If you want to get some of that, you can get that I get all my trapping supplies from Schmidt Enterprises, from New Ulm, Minnesota, or Searles, Minnesota. I think they're actually located. Searles, Minnesota. You can look them up online. Schmidt Enterprises, something like that. look them up online. You'll have all your trapping needs. So that's where I get all my traps from, lures, everything I need for trapping. It's a great supply, family-run business. They do a great job. They know their stuff, and they got quality products. So you get some of this, that's some good lure right here. So I just put it on the pan like this, and now, you know, these traps are a little different than the 1.5s, but they work. They work. That's what I first started out with, actually. I used to use all these traps before I switched to 1.5s, and I do like 1.5s better, but I like to sell a lot of traps at once, and I don't have as many 1.5s as I would like. I've only got a few dozen, 3 or 4 dozen, and I want more than that. So, you know, it's the same concept for setting. The only thing is, though, this is a shorter chain. I haven't had these all chain added to them yet, so I'll just take a piece of wire, add about a foot, and then tie that off, and put it down the hole right the same place I put the other traps. It's gonna go right where they come up out of the water. And they'll smell that, and that'll bring them to it, and they'll get caught. Alrighty, so got some out here, just around this little pond here, and there's a trapping sled full of traps. Yep, and that's all I really bring out here. I bring out a sled full of traps, a pail with my gloves and wire and a few other little things, and then my spade shovel. And that's all I really need. So, tomorrow we'll come out here and check some traps, and hopefully we got some. I think I remember which ones were on the video. I'll show you those and show you how they went. So, I'm gonna keep on cracking. Got some skinning to do. So, see you tomorrow. Alrighty, so we're back here next day. Doing pretty good so far, 2 for 3 so far. Muskrat and mink, so pretty good sign. This is the one I got on camera, I'm pretty sure yesterday. So I'm going to show you. You gotta remember, we had the hole right here. So we're going to go underneath because we've had that ice on there. And you can kind of pop it open like a plug. And this here looks like we might have caught something because it's all got packed full of stuff again. We're just going to open her back up. Whew, what a mess. And find our chain. Looking pretty good. The chain's tight already. Just kind of reach down in there and feel. Make sure it's not alive yet if you caught anything. And the worst part about this is when the muskrats go down and drown, they like to get tangled up. So sometimes you gotta get in here quite a way. Oops. Quite a ways in here to find the dang thing. Well, I found the trap. Oops. Let's see if I can get it out of the hole here. And there we go. It's a nice plump rat here. So I'm gonna get him out of the trap. Get my gloves out of the trap. Alright, now usually when you catch them they're gonna tear it up inside here. All you gotta do is get back in here, clear out the path where they come swimming up, find the landing platform there where we had the trap set, and if it's kind of destroyed, you kind of gotta just mound the stuff back up and set a new trap, or not set a new trap, but make a new place to set your trap. I'm just gonna reset this here. Oopsies. Should put it on my right knee like I usually do. There we go. It's a lot colder than it was yesterday. It's actually below freezing now, which is good. So I'm just gonna put it back in here. Right on that mound of floating crap. Right where they swim up. And we're just gonna do the same thing we did yesterday. We're gonna take some stuff and really make sure we get this hole shut good. want it to get freeze now that it's actually gotten cold out. Take our plug we popped off, pack it back around there. Make sure you get all these holes filled up. And I'll grab a little more snow here if I can. So, wherever there's a seam, make sure there's no air getting in here. Otherwise you're gonna have problems. So, alright, there we go. That's how you trap them in the winter. Now this set's ready to go again. If I can't remember if I had lure on it or not, but I don't have it with today, so I didn't put any more on, which is fine. But if I had some, I would have put some on the pan. It kind of helps get them going through here again. And this trap's ready tomorrow. Alright, so just brought the muskrats back in here. I got 4 muskrats and 1 mink today, so pretty decent. I usually shoot for about 1/3, and I was a little over 1/3, so it's a pretty good day. So I just wanted to show you. I usually put the muskrats in a cloth bag like this, and the reason for that is that way they don't freeze to your plastic or freeze to your traps. If you're throwing them with the traps, throw them in the plastic bag. You throw the plastic bag into the traps, but that way they don't freeze to any of the metal. So then when I get them back here, I'll just run them under some water here. This is just some lukewarm water. I just kind of wash them off, get them all clean, then I bring them over here and get them hung up. So now they'll hang here, get drip dry. Make sure the head's up, tail down, that way the water runs down the fur here. So those are gonna dry, and then when they're done, get them spun and everything. So hopefully you guys learned something. Hopefully you learned how to trap muskrats in the winter. It's kind of a what the fuck? It's kind of a good thing to know, because you know the fur is their primest in the winter, and that's when they're worth the most. So that's when you got to get out there and get them if you can. So hopefully this helped you guys, and good luck.